so I just got finished watching the Snyder Cut of Justice League. So as you probably have heard by now, in 2017, after Zack Snyder left the Justice League for reasons to be with his family, recuperate, and just a ton of things, Warner Brothers brought in Joss Whedon and cut out so much of his vision of what the DC universe and especially his Justice League film could have been. And after 4 years of fighting, fans petitioning, it just makes me so happy that he finally gets to see his vision brought to the fans. The fans get to see what truly Justice League should have been. Makes me very, very happy, and I'm so humbled and happy that, like I said, after years of fighting for this, we were able to see the Snyder Cut. So this movie comes in at just a couple minutes over 4 hours long of just amazing comic book, true greatness, goodness. That's just an absolute joy to watch, and like, it's one of those movies too that I don't want to pick on at all because of just how happy I am that we get to see this movie, fans get to see this movie, and Zack Snyder was able to bring his vision to the world. But without further ado, let me bring my review for Snyder Cuts of Justice League. So as I said, this movie is 4 hours long, and there is so much new content that is brought into this film. Of course, I did feel like the first hour and a bit of this film was very similar to what we saw in the Justice League, but like what was in the first hour of this covered close to almost like an hour and a half of the 2-hour cut that was given to us in theaters, which I thought was kind of baffling because of how much extra context and layers they put onto these characters and these scenes, just building up like the first leg of this movie. And there's so many noticeable improvements right off the bat in terms of camera angles, in terms of dialogue, in terms of the characters, especially with Batman and Cyborg. Even Ezra Miller's Flash gets so much added depth in this movie too, which is just so good for the characters and was truly needed to bring these characters from the page to life. Like, the fight scenes are different, and even to just the added dialogue makes everything a lot better. There's no really comic relief aside from Barry Allen, who of course is just a fanboy of everything that's going on around him. But other than that, this is a very serious in tone movie, and it does what I love that the DC universe does with its characters, where it puts them in situations that really test their character and changes them forever, gives them new perspectives of just really like dark and terrible things that happen to people and to superheroes in the world. And we especially get a lot of this from Cyborg, who was just a really one-dimensional character in the 2017 cuts, to now being pretty much the main character of the film and going through so many dynamic changes and just coming to a realization of heroism and truly realizing that his curses can be turned into gifts to help people save the world and just really give meaning to everything that he's doing, which he wasn't able to do at the start of this film. I do truly have to say that, like, sometimes it felt like the scenes kind of dragged on a little bit in terms of cinematic scenes that were thrown into this movie, where those could have felt cutouts and this movie could have been brought down to maybe the 3.5 to 3 hours and 45-minute mark and had it just paced a little better in certain areas. But there wasn't a scene that I thought like shouldn't fully be out of the movie, just because like the shots themselves are pretty beautiful. And really, like, the one bigger complaint I have about this film, and it's not even bigger because it's just something that could have been changed right away and it doesn't really take me out of the movie at all, is some of the song choices felt a little out of place in this, but I want to say like 80% of them were so spot on, especially in terms of the action where they're just bolstered. Junkie XL or Tom Holkenberg did an amazing job kind of recreating the soundtrack to this film and doing, just like I said, during the action scenes, it's crazy. The original score is really, really good, but I find sometimes where they took other artists' music and threw them into some scenes in this film, it just felt a little out of place to what was going on in the screen, or just kind of the message of the movie or the tone of the scene at the time. There are so many just kind of pointless scenes from the 2017 cut that are taken out that made me really, really happy, where when they awake Superman, you don't have that he grabs Batman and does the "do you breathe" line, which of course I absolutely hated. I knew Zack Snyder hated the line too. I think he said it in a tweet a couple years ago that was not at all going to make it into his cut. And just like a lot of the comedic aspects of Batman aren't there. Batman is a badass in this film, like tried and true throughout the entire thing, and I really, really liked it. They just give him so many upgrades to his vehicles, his cars, and it's just sick. Like, he is awesome in this movie, where I felt he was lackluster, not doing too much in the film himself, especially like in the close to final battle scene with Steppenwolf, where he was just kind of in the background doing who knows what. Well, Cyborg, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman took on Steppenwolf. You actually see him protecting Barry and sniping a ton of parademons around the way from like thousands of feet or even like kilometers back, which is really, really cool because that's Batman. He's awesome. It's whatever he's gonna do, and we got to see that this time around, which just made me super happy as a huge Batman fan. And I do have to say too, Jared Leto's Joker, I'm still not a fan of personally. Like, I see the appeal in a lot of ways, but I just find him really out of place personally for me in a lot of the scenes that he is. But the scene that Ben Affleck's Batman and Jared Leto's Joker share in this movie is honestly one of my favorite confrontations between the two characters on screen. It's just so gritty and awesome, and the delivery's great, the script's great, and the circumstances around it too are so fantastic because it takes place in the nightmare sequence, and it's just, I love that scene so much. I want to rewatch it again and again and again. Just like I said, everything about it flawless and perfect. Yes, Victor Stone, Cyborg, we get so much depth from him too. Like I said, it just truly gets the hero experience that we were supposed to see, and it just made me so happy being able to, like I said, just watch his character get tested by having terrible things happening around him, so much more loss than he had already experienced, but just have it help shape him, have him realize his responsibility to the world, and especially to the situation going on right now, that he had to be a part of it, even though it was more terrible things stacking up in the entire movie on top of his already like really tough careers, just being a human and then being given the body that he has and wondering if he can truly be human anymore. And by the end of the movie, yes, he is, and he realizes that. And it's a fantastic storyline that I was so hoping we were going to see in the 2017 cut, but we got it here. Zack Snyder, thank you for doing justice to Cyborg, 100%. Aquaman and Wonder Woman don't get too much added depth or layers to their characters. They're definitely there as the powerhouses for certain. But in terms of just like their character arcs, it stays pretty similar to the 2017 cuts because they were having their own movies that were going to shape their heroism and their personalities a lot more, but their action is 100% improved, and it is just very, very well done. Especially Wonder Woman is unleashed in this film, where she is just murking parademons and people left, right, and center, and it's just a true showcase of her powers. And they do the exact same thing with Aquaman, and all the fights and battle sequences in this movie, even though I did find them entertaining in the 2017 cuts, they're just elevated and escalated in every single way in the Snyder cuts. And it's just so fast, amazing, and epic. And they just did justice to truly showcasing the power of these two characters. That is also said for Ezra Miller's Flash, where he does get added layer to him. He has one additional scene with Iris West that we didn't see in the 2017 cuts, which I did find just like a little cheesy, but it was good for the characters. It was cute enough to see in the movie too, and it was, like I said, just a really cool showcase of his powers, where you see Iris West get in a car crash, cars flipping, and basically like at the turn of his foot, because of how fast he's going, his shoes just absolutely dissipates because of how fast he's moving, slides on the concrete, and it's just ripping apart under his feet, and it's really, really cool. And we do get to see a lot more of his powers too, where it's just fully showcasing him as a speedster, where I hated the scene in the 2017 cuts where him and Superman are like pushing the buses full of people out of the town. He's doing some really wicked and cool stuff in around here, especially during the final battle, because I thought the whole family in the 2017 cuts, the Russian family, was so out of place and just not realistic, because that town would have been absolutely wiped out since it is in the Snyder cuts. So there isn't anything like that, but during that scene, Barry gets to fully showcase what he's capable of through the Speed Force. And yeah, it's like, if you can include all the TV shows, and I'm even gonna say the Quicksilver scenes from the X-Men movies, I this is my favorite speedster moments in any film that I've ever seen. What he pulls off is incredible. It's so well shot. It's so fucking cool what Flash does during this scene, and it's, like I said, it's just my favorite speedster moments I've seen in any single film. Now, of course, we get to talk about the villain, so I'm gonna go into Steppenwolf first. He gets so much added depth to his character. Again, he's not just one-dimensional villain who's just there to kill shit for Darkseid. You do get a lot of layer where he's trying to save his family, redeem himself, and be able to, almost kind of like Maximus in Gladiator, where he's trying to earn his freedom. He has 50,000 worlds. He's 50,000 worlds destroyed in debt to Darkseid, basically, and they bring in the anti-life equation, which made me really, really happy. And just being able to conquer the mother boxes will get him his freedom with Darkseid, and you can tell, like, there has been a lot of strife to his character. Still a terrible dude, but his armor, his look is so much cooler, so much better. He is a force in this movie too, where he's dragging Atlantean soldiers up onto shore, watching them drown and suffocate. He has this device which basically fries someone's brain, but while it does it, it imprints their memories onto a little hologram, so he's able to get information out of them that way without them ever having to talk. He's tossing Amazonian soldiers up and slicing them. It's just, like I said, he's a force and an absolute powerhouse in this movie, and to be able to see justice done to his character, fantastic. And just, like I said, took a really crappy one-dimensional villain from the 2017 cuts and made a villain that I won't soon forget because of just how amazing he is. And his fate at the end is so cool. Like, in the 2017 cut, spoiler alert, he does die. He does die again in the Snyder Cuts, and how they do it is just wicked and awesome, and it showcases our next villain off really, really well, which is Darkseid. So just being able to see Desaad, Granny Goodness, and especially Darkseid in this film was just an absolute treat, because holy moly did they ever do a really good job with just showing how much of a menace his character is and is going to be. I mean, who knows if we're ever going to see it again, but he did a really good job in terms of his appearance, in terms of look, and just in terms of who he is. So in the 2017 cut, there was a scene where it was the old gods like Zeus, Poseidon, and a ton of Atlanteans who go up against Steppenwolf in battle when he was originally on Earth to conquer it, form the mother boxes and destroy the planets. But this time around, it's Darkseid who invades. And there was one really cool detail where the Green Lantern in the 2017 cut is killed by Darkseid in this film, and the rings are attracted to people with the highest willpower, and there's a quick scene where the ring's flying off the Green Lantern he just killed, and the ring kind of stops in front of him for a second, and Darkseid, being so power hungry that he is, goes to reach for the ring, but all of a sudden it flies off before he can even grab it. And I thought that was just a really cool little shot that just showcased that, like, how serious Darkseid is and how power hungry he is, and just, like I said, the willpower, where he could potentially wield one if he truly wants to. If he was able to grab it just fast enough, that would have been his. And it's just kind of scary to think like what he could do with the Green Lantern power, and just how power hungry he is. Just fantastic little things in this movie for all of the characters that are really, really well done. But seeing his whole armada and how serious he is, and just his reaction to seeing Steppenwolf killed, is one of my favorite villain moments of all time. And like any film, not just talking superhero films, I loved what he did when he kind of saw the defeat of Steppenwolf. And I really hope to see so much more of Ray Porter's Darkseid, because just a chef's kiss, a million chef's kisses, fantastic. But yes, the whole 4 hours just elevates this film, and none of it, except like I said, for the score in some places, felt out of place to me. It was so needed, and just a breath of fresh air to superhero films, and what I love from the DC universe, where it just continues to push their characters to the limit to have them grow. And just the stakes are so high. The action is so cool, which rivals most any, I would even say Endgame, it rivals most any Marvel movie or superhero film that any of us have ever seen. Because all the characters are just unleashed to their full potential in this film. Superman has a way better arc this time around. His action's really, really cool. And just being able to see all of his, like I said, just his scenes, his character elevated and done correctly and not have the crappy CGI chin this time around is just great. And then we do get to see Deathstroke again, just really quickly during the nightmare scene, which was really, really cool. And Martian Manhunter does make his way into this film, not in the way that a lot of us want to see him, but just knowing that he exists in the Snyder world and just kind of the DC universe makes me so happy. And the two scenes where he shows up in this film are just so good, so fantastic, and I can't wait to see what they can do with it, because yeah, his character, very, very well done. Alfred was awesome. James Gordon was awesome in this film. Just everything that they added in to the Snyder Cut, just seeing his full vision come on screen was so great, so fantastic, and that is why I am going to give Zack Snyder's Justice League a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie, and I highly recommend it to any comic book fan or just any fan of superhero movies, just anyone. It's so good. It's so worth the 4 hours, and just I loved it so much. But of course, if you've seen the Snyder Cut, please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. And of course, you can check out all my other movie reviews and everything I do on this channel through my playlist down below. You can also check out my Twitch, where I do most of my video gaming stuff, and join the Discord if you want to build a community, which I call the Media Mountain, just of stuff that we absolutely love in terms of movies, video games, music, comic books, everything down below, which, yeah, there's a link to it in the description of this video and also on my channel. Of course, if you like what you see here, like and subscribe, but subscribe and turn the little ringer on if you want to know when I upload new videos. But yes, 4 hours of just absolute glory. Go check out the Snyder Cut, and awesome, guys.